Ex-stepmother lied about being my mom during a seizure hospital visit, called me an abomination, and now continues to harass me on Facebook. I, 24F, am a child of divorce. My biological parents split when I was 4 years old. My mother started dating again when I was 7, a wonderful man and I love him to death, but my absolute idiot of a father dated several women between the time I was 4 to 8. Half of that time he was in and out of my life as it was, but that's not what this is about. This is about his last girlfriend / his wife prior to his death. My stepmother, whom I unaffectionately call my ex-step-bitch, SB, walked into my life after she met my dad while she was in a women's rehab group in my hometown where my dad and his Christian rock band played, very Bible Belt area of the southern US. I always had an issue with the women / girls that walked into my life because of bullying due to my absolutely insane name that this man gave me, as well as his first girlfriend after leaving my mother, abusing me and my little sister when we were very young. Not to mention that the reason he and my mother divorced was because he was constantly on drugs, so I was very aware of what her rehab group was for, which made my skepticism even worse. She showed up one day when I was 8. 5. I remember because it was summer and my birthday was in January. It was my dad's week, 50-50 custody, and dad was going to take me and my sister to our uncle's house to go swimming, but we were waiting for SB. It was that day that dad told me and my, at the time, 7-year-old sister that they were dating and had been for 3 months without saying anything to us. For minor context, my dad screamed at my mom for not telling him that she was dating someone, so there were issues in that for me. I distinctly remember looking at my dad, then at SB, then back at dad, and her again until I pointed at her and told my dad she's going to do something bad. This was the beginning of our dynamic. Fast forward to not only my dad getting married to this woman but me being used by her as a test subject for her psychology degree. She never finished this BTW. I was 11 at this time and playing in my bedroom with my sister and cousin waiting for lunch after church on Super Bowl Sunday of 2012. My sister and cousin were on the computer that was in my room because we didn't have enough TVs. They were playing Movie Star Planet, which was all the rage at the time, and were using the camera feature. When the flash went off, I started to feel funny, to say the least. So much so that I started seeing red dots everywhere. I told the two of them, and my cousin made the joke that I was about to have a seizure. And to my surprise, he was right. Now this next part I don't have much memory of, other than stories from my sister, cousin and dad telling me after I came to. Apparently the two of them ran downstairs to get a drink, leaving me on the bed until my dad came upstairs to get me for lunch. Apparently I was having a full grand mal seizure out of nowhere, and my dad did everything he could think of to keep me from hurting myself while calling 911. I remember waking up a little in the ambulance and my dad telling me I was okay and I should go back to sleep, which I did. Next I knew I heard noises, one of those being touchdown Patriots. And my dad cheering. The first thing I said after waking up was asking if he was watching the Super Bowl without me. That's when the room exploded. It was the first time since I was very young that my mom and dad were in the same room and not screaming at each other. Not the last, but that's a different story. I remember looking around after my eyes adjusted to see I was in a white room, a hospital room, still in my church dress that I was going to change out of after lunch and before the game. My mom and dad called the doctor back in to check on me, and I was scheduled for so many different appointments after that, including a sudden re-entry to the hospital because we found out I was allergic to the seizure med they gave me while I was unconscious. This part was told to me years later by my mother when I was about 17. Apparently while I was passed out and getting tests done, SB, instead of checking on me, called our pastor to pray over me. He was a good man, but I now have nothing to do with the Christian faith because of SB and my dad, but because it was a smaller hospital and involved a child that was only direct family allowed inside the room with me. SB told the hospital staff that she was my biological mother. We looked nothing alike and she was 28 while I was 11. When my real mom showed up, the pastor who was outside the room told her it was family only, and when she told him that she was my mother and thankfully one of the new nurses that showed up was a friend of my mom, she was let in and SB was kicked out. From what I'm told, SB got yelled at by our pastor for lying to him about my mother not having anything to do with me or my sister when in fact she was very involved in our lives. Hell, I was supposed to go to her house that day after she got off work, which was conveniently right after the Super Bowl. Anyway, after I was released from the hospital and my mom took me home to her house, things were okay. I was off school for a week because the seizure came out of nowhere and my primary wanted to have me come in every other day for checkups just in case. Things changed, however, when I went back to my dad's. I had gotten off school after my first day back, and while I'm doing my chores, which was washing dishes, that day SB came into the kitchen while my dad was in their bedroom playing World of Warcraft and told me that it was all my fault, that the church is mad at her and she hated me for it. Again, I'm 11 and this 28-year-old woman is blaming me for her getting in trouble with a man she lied to. Not to mention that she and my dad would tell me anytime I was sick after the seizure it was all in my head or you were overreacting, your pain can't be hospital level. My dad was a Navy veteran, so he always used that line whenever I was hurting, not realizing that medication I had been taking for years made my pain tolerance severely low. Ironically though, they were sort of right, explained further down. Since that day we absolutely despised each other to the point that no matter what I did I was getting Bible thumped. Even going so far as to make me late for an assignment for my freshman English class in high school because I made the mistake of claiming Greek mythology made more sense to me than the Bible. This still holds true to this day. I'm a practicing Norse pagan / moon Wiccan. She even got so insecure about my blatant hatred of her that she asked me to show her my messages between me and my counselor that I was assigned because of dual suicide attempts. I was 14 at that time, and even I, someone who at the time was studying forensic science and had an unhealthy obsession with criminal minds and law and order, knew that was illegal as hell and told my counselor about it at our next session. That nonsense got shut down very fast. Thankfully, she's been mostly out of my life since I was 17 when my father died of a drug overdose / withdrawal-induced heart attack. She and my father had apparently been on drugs again, big shocker and a personal I told you so on my part, and subjecting me and my sister to the fumes which made me violently ill for several months, and we didn't know why until Dad passed. The last time I saw her was 6 months after he died when I turned 18 and I got the one thing of my dad's that I wanted, which was a 12-string electric guitar. Big music family. However, that wasn't the last time she tried to make contact with me. Recently, while I was in college already stressed out because of more health issues that stemmed from the seizure incident coming up and the sudden death of one of my dad's 4 sons, SB started to spam my Facebook Messenger asking how I was doing, if school was going good, all this kind shit, only to yell at me for coming out as a demi-girl, semi-non-binary that leans towards the feminine side. I was using they/them at the time, and she called me an abomination, which was strange because I didn't tell her or anyone else about this outside my college friends who were on the other side of the country from where she was back in my home state. Apparently my one brother, who still has contact with her for some reason, told her about me asking to be called sibling on our brother's obituary, thinking I still talk to this woman like my sister did occasionally. He was fully aware I hated her with a burning passion, but not exactly why. I'm not close with any of my brothers for various reasons, but that's beside the point. SB was tormenting me over the phone while I was studying for finals before returning home to get medical tests done. Come to find out, I have epilepsy, autism, and a vein malformation in my brain that nobody cared to check after my seizure because the neurologist I saw in my home state at the time was an idiot and claimed I had the seizure due to low blood sugar, which come to find out is a massive side effect of the epilepsy and the malformation. I do have a blood sugar issue, but when I seize it gets dangerously low due to a plethora of other issues hormone and chemical wise in my messed up body. I now have to go to the capital of my home state after dropping out of college because of insurance issues and have a consultation with a neurosurgeon to see if they're going to put me through radiation or just cut the malformation out of my brain. I went to Facebook in order to warn anyone on either side of my family since my epilepsy was genetic and I'm the first to have it on either side, as well as update my cousins who I still have contact with in that part of the state if they wanted to visit. SB fucking commented saying I should go see her instead. I nearly screamed. I was so mad that she was still acting all lovey-dovey to me, but thankfully my boyfriend was able to calm me down enough not to do something stupid and commented himself that if any of my family wanted to stay in contact with me, they will keep SB away from any information on my location and life. So far only my uncle, my dad's last living sibling, and his sons are the only ones who still keep regular contact with me or my sister from my dad's side. I have little contact with my mom's family my entire life other than one of my 2 brothers on her side. I have my fingers crossed that the situation gets better before I lose my whole mind, but I have a feeling she won't come anywhere near me or our hometown because of how many bridges she's burnt here by hurting me and my sister. Small town, lots of motorcycle bikers, who happen to be family to us. I apologize for how long this is, I just had to rant. She's been ruining my life on and off since I was a kid, and I hope with this I can now have some peace away from her while I deal with everything. I am eternally grateful to my boyfriend for keeping me sane during all this stuff, as well as my younger sister and stepdad who have been helping me with appointments and paying for my medication while I work on getting my disability processed. Edit. Hey everyone, thanks for all your kind replies and suggest this is my first big post outside the Obey Me and Twisted Wonderland subreddit, so again, thank you all. I said this in the comments, but for those who haven't seen one, SB is blocked and my family that are in contact with her are not in the loop on me in general because of distancing me and my sister from the family after my sperm donor died. My uncle is checking in with me regularly since he's a friend with my boyfriend's neighbor, so we see each other a lot more than we did just after Dad died. He's been the one fielding questions for me as well as his younger son who I've been close with since I was a baby. 2. I appreciate everyone who has been telling their epilepsy journey stories. It's been very helpful knowing that I'm not alone in this. It's scary for me since I've never had surgery or anything like this in my whole life. I still have my tonsils, wisdom teeth, and with both my bio parents gone I'm afraid. But thankfully I have an approximate timeline for my surgery, which is not until maybe August. By that time I should be moving in with my boyfriend, and with his parents being just down the road and will have retired by then, I'll have someone who can keep an eye on me while he's at work. All in all, things are getting better and I'm grateful. I'm super excited for later in March. It's getting warmer here in Nee, Arkansas where I'm from, so it's perfect motorcycle weather, and I got to go on my first bike ride of the year the other day with the BF and it was magical. I'll get to go on my first full rally ride at the end of March and I'm uber excited. Update 1. As I mentioned, I'm supposed to go down to my state capital since I can't get anything done near me, which is 3 hours from my hometown. In the capital, my father's former wife prior to his death, who I tend to call my ex-step bitch, SB, lives in and out of rehabs because of her drug habit. Apparently the reason she's trying to get in contact with me is because her rehab told her to make amends with people she hurt. You know who the only person she hasn't been able to get into contact with is? That's right, me. The stepchild that she called not only an abomination but blamed for her getting in trouble and bullied emotionally and mentally from day one. Well, let me tell you guys, apparently this woman can't handle getting rejected for long. She came to my hometown and harassed my elderly uncle. Just so she could find out where I was so she could have a sit down with me to go over what happened. First off, I don't think she came here just to do this. Her mother lives here and her younger creep of a brother is a street bum in our town who called me out while watching our Christmas parade with my boyfriend. It was super creepy since I haven't seen him in 7 years since he was sent to state prison just before my dad passed. Anyway, SB pulled every card she could, even stooping so low to have her mom call up my younger sister, 23F, who works for a dog groomer in our town where she takes our old dog to get groomed. Now my sister knows I have no contact with SB and is respectful of that because after all these years she's come to grips with the trauma SB left me with that haunts me to this day, but she was blind to it because SB showered her with affection just to make me jealous. My sister and I are fine these days, but we did have serious issues growing up because I was neglected by both bio parents and SB since my mom thought dad was neglecting my sister and showered me, his baby girl, with love. In actuality, dad avoided us both because of his obsession with World of Warcraft, that I later found out was his way of avoiding popping pills. Druggie's gonna druggie, am I right? Well, I was at my neurologist. I have genetic epilepsy and basically a tumor in my brain that I have to get cut out sometime soon. IDK when yet. And on my last post someone commented that it was possible that my epilepsy could have been caused by my dad's drug use, and it got me thinking. I asked my neuro about the possibility since I'm the first in any of my family to have the condition, and y'all, let me tell you, my neuro lost her mind. She started scrambling to get new tests done to see if it was true. Now for context, I was born as a sort of savior baby. That's what my mom called me, aka I was only born because my dad thought having a baby would keep him off drugs, and my mom wanted to save the relationship because she really loved my sperm donor for some reason. Well, guess what, y'all? Neither worked. They got me and my sister, and when I was 4 they separated because, yep, you guessed it, dad was always high. He couldn't work because he fucked up his back in the Navy, so mom was our only source of money. And if you don't know anything about Arkansas, here's what you gotta. We have shit jobs unless you're a farmer, and our biggest employer is Walmart. My town specifically, though, we have a lot of factories and bars, both of which my mom worked at during this time. Anyway, to tie these two situations together, SB heard about me having to get surgery because of a Facebook post I made to warn my cousins. She's been blocked on every social media I could think of, aka Facebook, since I don't have any others, and fingers crossed she doesn't have Reddit. Fast forward to after talking with my neuro this last time about the potential gene mess ups, I was immediately sent to the hospital to get labs done, and y'all, oh my Lucifer, that commenter was right. I, literally, was born defective. Not only did the 3D meat printer skip some lines in my brain, that druggy dumbass was so high on meth that my literal genes are fucked. I didn't even know what to say. I started bawling, y'all. It was so bad that I was legit told that I was better off getting my tubes tied to keep from running the risk of having kids. Thankfully my boyfriend and I agreed to not have kids to begin with, since with my epilepsy and his family history of it, we didn't want to risk passing it down, not to mention autism being passed from the mother, and I, a very high-functioning nonverbal autistic, would more than likely pass it down to any child I had. But this kind of thing really fucks with you mentally and emotionally. I texted my friends over Facebook Messenger about it because I was so upset. One friend legit got so upset on my behalf. She knew my parents, including SB, and was so pissed. She has 2 little girls of her own and told me she has no idea how she could survive knowing she could risk something like that to her kids. We ended up at a cafe in our town to catch up because I was really needing a matcha boba tea and she wanted cupcakes, so it worked out. And y'all, I nearly punched a woman in the face that day. SB was in the cafe. This fucking twat ran up to our table recognizing my friend, and the second she saw me she tried to hug me. Hug me? Y'all, I was having war flashbacks just seeing her. She kept talking but I couldn't hear her, I just saw her mouth moving until my friend tried to push her away. Guys, I fucking seized on the floor of the cafe. I was so stressed out by just the thought of this bitch that I collapsed. I had to go to the ER to make sure I didn't hit my head too hard. I got out that night and have been at my boyfriend's house since. I'm literally sobbing as I type this, absolutely terrified of leaving the house knowing she's in town. IDK, what to do, you guys? My boyfriend's been showering me in cuddles, snacks and matcha/Dr. Pepper, while my friends, including the one who was with me, constantly checking in on me, and I appreciate it, but I already struggle with going outside as it is with severe agoraphobia, but now I'm so scared to be anywhere in this already godforsaken town. Sorry about this, you guys, I just needed to vent. It's so scary for me and I needed to get it out before I lost my fucking mind. Update 2. So after my last seizure-induced ER visit sparked by SB's sudden, and very unwelcome, appearance, I was determined to keep my distance and avoid stepping foot outside unless absolutely necessary. My agoraphobia had ramped up to new levels, and the potential of bumping into SB again kept me even more on edge. My friends and boyfriend have been incredibly supportive, providing the warmth and comfort I needed. But man, did I ever hit the mother of all plot twists this week. The biggest news, and I promise I'm not making this up, happened during an unexpected encounter with the local biker group. Remember the motorcycle bikers who are family to us? Well, Turns out they were secretly cooking up an action plan to keep SB at bay without directly confronting her. Uncle and the bikers had gotten wind of what SB's mother was trying to do, tracking me down with that manipulative care package routine, and they decided enough was enough. They organized an unofficial town watch. Yeah, you read that right. A town watch. Every nook and cranny of our small-town coffee shops, grocery stores, and even the local library has a set of biker watchers stationed discreetly, observing in case she tries her shit again. They've got cameras set up on their phones, ready to spring into action with the tap of a finger. My very own vigilante squad. Here's how it gets even weirder. This whole vigilante biker gang setup wasn't just about keeping me safe. Nope, they revealed to me they stumbled upon a really old rumor about something SB might be involved in. Something truly insane and only ever whispered about in the back alleys and dark corners. They told me about something the townsfolk used to call the Muddy Conspiracy. Oh yeah, it's turning into an episode of The Twilight Zone now. Supposedly, SB was involved in creating a network of truly bizarre health scams in the past, a mix of spiritual healing gone bad and some truly harmful substances she claimed cured everything from headaches to heartbreak. Curious and needing some semblance of amusement in my current helmet of crazy, I stumbled upon an old, dusty scrapbook while rummaging through some boxes in my mom's old attic. The scrapbook was made by my mom and had clippings from the local newspaper too, from back when I was a wee one. Weirdly enough, inside was a peculiarly cryptic column written by none other than SB, rambling about the power of spiritual powders and healing drops that, according to her writing, could redefine destiny. Here's the kicker. Some of these potions were supposedly made during a time my dad was trying out one of his weirder hobbies, which involved fermenting homemade wine. I know, right? That apparently became SB's ingredient for the new age cure-all. Yep. That happened. Anyway, back to the present. My biker family has been fantastic, assisting me in gathering this scrapbook of bizarre adventures to hold some leverage against her if needed, or perhaps to share with rehab, because let's be honest, she could possibly use the additional eye-opening experience. On top of this, I signed up for an online course on digital art therapy, which, let me tell you, has been a godsend amidst the whirlwind of emotions. Also, here's the cherry on top. Thanks to willful persistence, my medical team in the state capital finally set a hard date for the surgery next month. I'm both nervous and relieved, but knowing I have a date to count down to gives me something solid to focus on, the new horizon on an otherwise shaky sky. Listen, I never thought I would say this, but having my own secret society of protectors and digging up old likely fictional conspiracy theories was not what I had on the 2023 bingo card. I can't thank you all enough for letting me pour out my life's wild and twisted intricacies. Who knew writing them down could be so therapeutic? Stay tuned, because with my life's current track, I might find myself solving enigmas next, or maybe not. Until then, keep safe and keep rooting for your friendly neighborhood resilient student with one paranormal mimicking life. Update 3. After setting the surgery date, I thought things might finally calm down for a bit, you know? But oh, how wrong I was. Just when I started to breathe easier, reveling in the supportive biker squad and my digital art therapy, something utterly unexpected happened. It all started when my uncle called me up, his voice a mix of urgency and excitement. "You're not going to believe this," he said, which immediately made my "you won't believe what happens next" radar ping. He told me to meet him at our favorite diner, where the club meets. When I got there, he and a few of the bikers were huddled around a laptop, staring intently at something. They gestured for me to come over. There, on the screen, was a grainy security camera video showing SB in a heated confrontation with none other than her estranged brother, the creepy one who called me during the Christmas parade. We all watched, eyes glued. It turns out, any sympathy I might have mustered for SB earlier was wildly misplaced. The brother had been trying to expose her for siphoning money from their mother, a ploy intricately connected to her bizarre healing sawdust empire I mentioned. As the altercation unfolded, the video showed SB trying to conceal a small, mysterious vial while frantically arguing with her brother. As if on cue, the screen went black, leaving us in suspense. But that wasn't the wild part. As the discussion unraveled among us at the diner, a curious woman at the next table overheard us. With a knowing smile, she leaned over and said, "I know that vial. Looks like she's been dabbling in the old prodigal brew." Prodigal brew? Now, folks, I'm not one for urban legends, but this one caught my attention. According to her, it's an outlawed tincture rumored to enhance cognitive abilities, but with devastating long-term effects. SB, bathed in the light of her infamous past, had gotten deep into this racket, using it for manipulation and coercion. I was dumbfounded, not sure whether to laugh or be genuinely concerned. In the following days, the lights of this enigma grew even brighter. My uncle, the ultimate investigator, befriended SB's unwilling accomplice, yes, the brother, with promises of reformation assistance, an offer of job placement through the uncle's extensive biker network. Turns out, he had become an unintentional whistleblower on SB's chaos due to guilt. And here's the kicker, the brew operations she had been dabbling with were under investigation both for fraud and for creating potentially harmful substances. Shocking, right? SB, ever the drama queen, denied everything but ironically started contacting random people in the community to make up implausible stories about others, potentially as a diversion tactic. Yep, Classic SB. Amidst all this pandemonium, my surgery date drew closer. The prospects were overwhelming, but surprisingly, in that chaos, I found an unexpected resolve. Meetings with hospital staff were taking place more frequently, and my neurosurgeon gave me a comprehensive briefing on what to expect come surgery day. It was comforting, despite the storm around me. The team even hinted that after this surgery, things might drastically change, fingers crossed, for the better. The solidarity, the comical drama swirling in the circles around me, and this strong sense of community wrapped me in a warm cloak, and not for the first time did I feel an immense gratitude. For my family, friends, the bikers, and yes, even this Reddit community where I can share my escapades. In this kaleidoscope of revelations, lessons, and looniness, I remain hopeful, standing firm and curious about the next twist in the labyrinthine narrative that is my life.